We'll move on to the main event there in Times Square. Ryan Garcia versus Romero. Ryan Garcia's first fight since the match versus Devin Haney, the 1-year suspension for PEDs. And unfortunately, another dud. You said it on the live stream, and it wasn't take nothing away from Romero, but it wasn't as much of what Romero did. It's what Garcia didn't do. And I don't know if it was being in the Batmobile, not being able to move around, being a little stiff. Maybe he got nauseous from some of the fumes. I don't know what it was, but he had zero
You're stretching it now. Now you're stretching. Now you're. I'm wondering if you're his publicist. Now you're getting out there, buddy. I mean, you're right. I agree with you. You can't warm up. You could be stiff. You're sitting in a car. Yeah, all of that. The fumes. You're going a little far.
Yeah, a little facetious.
I think the windows were closed.
Where's the speed, the great speed we talk about? Where was the power in the left hook? Where was anything, really?
Where's the belief? Where's the belief? Where's the confidence? You can have all those weapons, all those artillery, all those abilities, but you can't use them if you don't have the belief to use them, if you don't have the belief system, the confidence. You have to have the ability to take those great talents and project them, show them. And how do you do that? You do that by having fire, by having ambition, by having desire, by having belief. And you have to question those things.
Yeah, no question. There was no fire. There was no urgency. And I thought maybe the second round knockdown would wake him up and bring some of that. And it didn't. It just continued through the course of the fight. In the end, Rolly Romero wins a boring but easy decision. What'd you make of it overall and for Rolly Romero?
All right, first things first. We'll start with the guy all the attention was on, Ryan Garcia. I think people expect me, I expect myself, so I shouldn't even say that, to shoot it straight and to not worry about either side of the street. People are going to like it, not like it. I'm not here to be friends with people. I'm here to give my opinion based on the experience of all these years in boxing, and to give it completely unaffected or uninfluenced, not influenced by anything other than what my experience tells me, not by anything else. And I like Garcia, but that has to be put somewhere else. You got to wonder. You're not looking at everything and using everything here. If you don't wonder if he was dirty the last fight, I should say, with Haney, right? We don't know. We don't know for a fact because he says the tests were tainted, and then it was back and forth with the samples, but it did come out positive at least. And then it got kind of very confused. Although he was bigger, he didn't make weight. He looked big. It walked like a duck, it quacked like a duck. Sometimes it usually means it kind of is maybe a duck. But there was a lot of questions even after most people pronounced him guilty of the PEDs. There was still stuff in the air. But I'll tell you one thing. If he had taken the PEDs, which is possible, right? Because at least one of the tests he failed, and like I said, even though it got a little foggy, if he was dirty, and this time we presume that he's clean, then it'd be fair to say that he performed like a guy who didn't have the help that he had the first time. Not just the physical help, not just that it made him more explosive, but where it gave him the confidence, that it gave him the juice, it gave him the belief that, because you only take PEDs because you're insecure. Yeah, you're looking for an edge. I understand all that, football, baseball, everywhere. But also, you think you need an edge. That's part of it, especially in boxing. You think you need an edge. You feel like you need some help to face that knock at the door when it comes. And it's always going to come, where the devil knocks at the door during the fight. If it's a tough fight, sooner or later, that knock's going to come at the door where you're gonna have to face that devil, those demons. And those demons are your doubts. And most people face them on their own by hard work, by discipline, by, just forging confidence, forging their talent, forging their mindset. And they get help from their upbringing. Maybe they had an upbringing that helped them, a harder upbringing, an upbringing where it was harder than some people's, where they had a harder father, a drill master father that prepared them for that, whatever it is. But they go and face what they got to face on their own. It's kind of like when you see these guys that are the muscle builders. You see the ones that are natural and the ones that are not natural. Yeah, I mean, you see it, the difference. The ones that are not natural, again, they want that extra boost. They want a little more. But it's different in boxing. You want the help, again, to deal with that knock at the door, to help to deal with the doubt, the insecurities, the inhibitions that we all have. But they make a choice to use something to help in those areas. If he was clean this time and wasn't clean the last time, he looked like a guy who knew he didn't have that help. He looked like a guy that knew, kind of like some people can only be brave if they have a gun. Yeah, I know I'm going to an extreme place, but that's okay. I know where I'm going. I know how to get there and how to get back. Some people can't be brave outside with just their hands. No, they got to have a knife. They have a gun. They have to have a baseball bat. What I'm saying here is we understand that he didn't have a gun, he didn't have a knife, he didn't have a baseball bat. But he had something the first time. Something that gave him the same kind of edge, the same kind of help that a gun or a knife or a bat would have, to give him belief that he can handle what he didn't believe he could handle, or he didn't know for sure that he could handle. He acted like a guy without the gun. He did not behave like he did the last time, like a guy that was confident. Now, you could go down the road of the other things that looked like they were missing. The fire, the explosiveness, that devastating left hook that he could throw, all of that. But I'll bring it right back to the confidence part, the belief part, the discipline of your emotion part. That those things still could have been there, but they're not being used, so they might as well not be there. Because you don't have the discipline, the belief, the confidence, the edge to use them. Now, I don't know. We don't know that. All I'm saying is I expect of myself to say, if I'm going to do a show like this, to say all the possibilities, to say them no matter how they might affect certain people or where they might fall on some people's ears of liking or not liking, that it's a possibility. At the end of the day, it might simply be that, I hate to go down the road that he had an off night, but that he had an off night. People have an off nights. But we're looking at the symptoms. We're looking at certain things that kind of help us what the night was. And there was no spark. There was no fire. There was no. Now look, could Dr. Atlas find another disease at work, another virus at work here that could have possibly been part of it? Yeah. You know what that one is? Making too much money. Maybe that was the one. But I had to go the other place too. It's only fair. And I like Ryan because I think his core is a good person. I think that he's in search of himself still in a lot of ways. And he has been. But I think his core is he's a decent, good person. But he's made a lot of money. and he became famous. And sometimes when you make a lot of money and you become famous, you don't have the same urgency, and it shows. And he looked like a guy who had no urgency. Now, whether it was because of the confidence that he didn't have to stuff in him that he had the last time he was in a ring, or just because he's made too much money and he didn't have to drive, he didn't have the urgency. Either way, something was missing. And you want to also go down the road and say, he's overrated. You want to go, well, he wasn't overrated when he had good nights, was he? He wasn't overrated. Maybe we had the help of the PEDs. All right, but you didn't say he was overrated that night. I'm saying the possibility is everything that I just said, and it's very possible that he just has made too much money where the reason to take a risk is not there when his bank account was lower. When your bank account is lower, you'll take a lot more risks. When there's no food in the refrigerator, you'll take more risk. Do I really have to tell you that? It's true. When the cupboards are bare at home, you will go out there and you will do something to make sure those cupboards are not bare. So that's a possibility. Now, as far as Romero goes, look, Raleigh's a guy that always had talent. He could punch, he had talent, he had some explosiveness to him, but he talked more than he fought well. Like his talk and his bravado, his all part of promoting himself, I get it. All of that was always more explosive at the press conferences and everything else than what he actually did in the ring. He came up short in his biggest fight, whether it was Cruz, this one, that, he would come up short. But he still kept getting chances. We were like, wow, somebody likes this guy. Somebody up there likes this guy. Like the movie, that great movie with Paul Newman about Rocky Graziano. Someone up there likes me. He just kept getting chance after chance. And I'll say this. Maybe finally, with the little help of Ryan Garcia, because of what he did not do, but finally, whoever believed, there was Al Heyman is one of them, whoever believed in Romero and kept giving him these chances where people would scratch their head and say he loses these fights and he gets another big chance. Why? That belief was finally validated. I like that. I like that Rolly Romero that finally validated whoever was believing in him and giving him these chances, that he validated it with this win. Now, I'm not saying it was explosive. A lot of it had to do with how much was Raleigh, as you said earlier, that I talked about the other day, and how much of it was what Garcia didn't do. How much was it that what Raleigh did? How much was it what Garcia didn't do? That's got to be in there. It's got to be in the mix as far as trying to figure out and evaluate this fight at the end of the day. But to put a bow on it, Raleigh did more than Garcia. Raleigh was a big underdog. Raleigh took advantage of this opportunity. And Raleigh's a guy, I think, a little bit like Haney, that's in search for himself, that's in search for his confidence, his belief, his real belief. And now he may have finally found it. He may have finally gotten closer to that. And just like Devin Haney, give him another fight now. Give him another fight to see, is this the real Rolly Romero? The one that we thought, or somebody thought, could be a pretty good fighter. Give him another fight and see if he continues to grow. Because that might be just what the doctor ordered. And he got it that night and handed to him a little bit by Ryan Garcia, letting him get it, letting him grow. And he did grow a little bit in that fight. So I think at the end of the day, you got to see now if Romero gets better. And I think he will. Because I think that the things that I just touched on were at play.
Yeah, that was a very thorough breakdown and well said. And Romero did look different physically. He was
one other thing. I'm sorry, bud, but you just reminded me. He looked different physically. Yes. No PD. We're not getting there. Don't worry. I'm not going there. But he looked like he got on a weight program.
Yeah,
you're right.
Up.
He was more muscular.
And to your point, that might have gave him the confidence.
Well, I said it before the fight started when we were live streaming. I said that I could see physically that he got in the gym, he got on a weight program. It shows. He got bigger, he got stronger, and he may have done it for really not so much physical reasons, but for mental reasons, to give himself more confidence. Because when you get bigger and stronger, you get bigger. You get bigger, but not just bigger this way with muscles. You get bigger this way. You start to believe a little bit more. And I think that I give him credit, and whoever helped him with that. I really do. Raleigh, I give you credit because it helped you. It gave you, I think Garcia helped you a little bit. But, without meaning to, but he did a little bit. He opened the door for you a little bit to go in, but you went in. But I think that you were smart, or whoever was around you combined, to get on the weight program, get a little bigger, get a little stronger, and I think it helped your confidence. And one last thing, he's humble now. And look, I know losses will humble you. I know the guys on the street say, yeah, a little bit of an ass whooping, Teddy, that'll do something to humble you a little bit, Ted. That'll do a little something to bring that swelling down, that swelling in the head sometimes. Listen, whatever. I've seen plenty of guys, they never get humble. I see a side to him that you didn't see for those couple of years where all this and this and this and all that stuff. I get it. You're trying to promote yourself. You're trying to make yourself relative. You're trying to make money. I understand. But it got a little tough to listen to when he wasn't winning those fights. And now you could see he won a fight and he was humble. And you know what? It made him a lot easier to root for. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Ryan too, but I'm actually rooting for him. And I know there's a lot of people out there that I'm mad. You paid money, you went out there. I'm with you. It was terrible performance. I'm with you. But my job here is to analyze the reasons why or the possibilities why. But I still like Ryan. I hope he finds himself. And I'm glad that it looks like Romero has found himself.